Hey y'all, it's Jacob with the Daily Shortcut. Hope you have a wonderful Memorial Day holiday, and just wanted to send thanks out to anyone who has served our beautiful country. My gratitude is with you, my thanks. So today, the message that my mentor put out was called Take Out the Trash. And it seems like a lot of what I've been talking about lately, actually, and really what a lot of my weekend was about, to be completely honest with you. You know, he was actually talking about how when people are in the process of creating different things, working on their manifestations, to keep in mind that, you've probably heard that phrase about like attracts like. It's, law of attraction stuff, law of reciprocity stuff. And he was just talking about, and it actually come up recently in one of the other daily shortcuts about why it's important to be really clear on what it is that you want, and also what's like not going wrong, and not to put too fine a point on it, because, that, of course, you can create more of that if you're just festering on those problems. But he made a really good point today about how when you're sort of not really clear on what it is that is creating so much of that negativity and being stuck in a state where, you're just making more of what you don't want. And so he'd had kind of some interesting tips here that I wanted to share, just about turning the volume down on negative things around you. And me personally, I have to say, my life is actually it's pretty good in that department. I think I've done most of, the housekeeping, if you will, about, getting rid of the negative factors. But I will say that I can relate this just to, my personal life and my business in another way too. I've just gotten so busy with things that are going on that I haven't really had the time to put time into certain things that were either just, not producing results or just taking away from where my focus is. And so, I've actually even started doing this channel differently. And some of I'm probably not going to even be on YouTube much longer. I've been, looking at moving a platform over just to something that's more professional. I really don't find YouTube a very professional place to be working and operating from, to be quite honest with you. It was a place for me to come and grow and experience things, but for the kind of work that I'm doing, it's something that I think is probably just best to do somewhere else that's less spammy. There's just a lot of spam here. There's a lot of negativity. There's been a lot of like drama. It's very sensationalist, kind of like just reminds me of like just TV shows that I would never watch. I don't even watch TV. But, anything that would be on like E or Bravo or like TMZ or any crap like that I absolutely would never watch is kind of what YouTube reminds me of. And so I've been having, this thing come up with me over the months about whether or not I felt like my heart was even in being here, like on YouTube at all. And so it's just become more and more clear to me that it's not the place for me to be. And so for me, when I was hearing this message about cutting out the garbage and taking out the garbage, it just kind of reminded me of, and I'm not saying anything about anybody here because, people I don't associate with YouTube. YouTube I'm talking about is an entity, is a platform, not necessarily the audience or any of you. You all are wonderful people that just happen to be watching something through YouTube. So just to clarify that, but, for me, it's just, I don't see myself on YouTube very long, put it that way. So, the way that I have been using this recently and over the weekend has been literally just writing out a list for myself of where I feel like things could improve, or the things that don't make me happy. And Will, one of my mentors, had made a great recommendation that I probably hadn't thought about, because, sometimes when people ask me for advice too, it's not always my first advice to say, write down every negative thing you think. But in this situation, it's probably a really good call to action. If there are some things that need adjusting, one of his recommendations, and I'll link it below if you guys want to see the video that had prompted me on this particular message today. But what he was talking about was, somebody that was having a situation where she felt like she was stuck in a rut, and he gave her an assignment to write down every single negative thing that was conjured up in her mind or imagination for the next 3 days. With the point being that at the end of that time, it would give her an opportunity to get clear about all of the things that maybe she wasn't really so aware of, that she's constantly being dragged into within the negativity. Because if you kind of have a list, and it's like when you start feeling that again, you can be like, oh no, I don't want that one, and cross a line through it and help purge those things from your field, so that when they come up, you're not just kind of blindly getting pulled in that direction. Interesting thing to think about. So, for me, I was chuckling while I was watching, the message today, because it just reminded me of what I was doing this weekend. I didn't feel like I have anything terribly negative going on, but if I had to chalk up some negative things, I would just say that some of the stuff that takes a lot of time to do, that if I was able to do it in a better way that didn't have so much burden on me, the person doing them, that I would be more focused, because I would have more time, energy, etc. to put into the things that are working. And so for me, it just came up. I just kept hearing YouTube, because I've been hearing for months, like, oh, get the fuck off of YouTube, And so I've kind of been reluctant in everything too, because I really love doing what I'm doing. I don't like doing it here, to be honest with you. I really don't like doing it here too much. I like doing it on my blog. I like making it available. I love my newsletter and people that opt into me directly like that. I don't really like YouTube. I don't like the freaking spam. I don't like the algorithm. I don't like the drama and the negativity that I see other places, that's just so adjacent to what I'm doing, that, doesn't really have that in it. And it kind of bothered me. One time I had logged on and I was watching one of my own videos, and I'd watch it just from not having actually logged into my own account, and what it wanted to show me next just really turned me off, And so anyway, I'll just say that I've had some of this on my mind for a while too, and it's just I think I've just had some negativity come up around what it feels like to do something that's so dear to me in a place that feels like that. You know what I mean? So it's not a strike on anybody here that's watching it. I love you guys, gals, and others, and everybody that's been supportive of my spirit work, because that's actually what I'm here for, making those connections. And for me, this was just very relevant, because after I heard him say it, then I realized how negative it actually is for me. And I hadn't really given it the negative finger quotes. It was just well, something feels like it's off here. I'm not sure I want to do this anymore. And I actually spent all weekend thinking about ways that I could host my own videos in a much better way than on YouTube. And then to wake up to this message today, it was just that's what that is. That's a negative drain on my energy. So I'm getting really clear on that. And if I hadn't have taken the time to kind of dictate this to myself, I might not have been willing to be honest about the fact of what it actually is and how it affects me. And so I'm happy to know that. And it just helps me be more clear about how I'm going to be focusing my energy forward. So I'm just going to leave you guys with that, and I'm going to link his video below too, because he had some great tips. If you're struggling with anything, you might consider making a detailed list of all the negative thoughts, feelings, everything that comes up for 3 days in a row. Put it in a safe place, and then, when you're feeling better, sit down and look at it and realize how many times certain things come up into your field, because a lot of it, I'm not invalidating your feelings, but a lot of it, especially if any of it's like mine, you might realize is not even real stuff. It's just fear stuff, old dogmas, some of the stuff that people might have told you when you were a kid or something, that's just stuff that's not even freaking true, from people that are completely incredible in your life in some cases. That is like a pebble in your backpack that you're kind of packing around. And so it's good to get an inventory of that stuff, because then you're aware of where it is next time it happens, and you can just be like, already dealt with that. And all that does is it takes all that energy that is normally being dragged in that other direction, whether or not you're really realizing it, and you have it to keep yourself in the clear direction that you're going. So I'll leave you on that, and I'd love to hear what you think, if any of this registered for you. And definitely, click below if you want to see what my mentor said about it, and hit me up if I can help you with anything. I'm streamlining my life, and it's definitely taking me in a better direction. And so I highly recommend doing that for yourself in any way that makes sense, because you know what? You might only have one more life here. This might be it. I hear some of us are going up for once, and we might not be coming back here in the same ways anymore. So, it's a good time to start enjoying it, and making sure that the things that don't belong there don't just have permission to be there just because we're used to them being around. So, food for thought. Take care. God bless. I'm going to do that down and dirty daily, and I'll catch you guys again later.